All right, welcome everybody once again to ZMC or Zoom Mac classes. My name is Jon Hartman with Option Click Consulting, and today we are going to go yet again into the next in our series of everything Apple. And today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks number 2. So this is my second tips and tricks class, hopefully bringing you some awesome new things that you can introduce as tools in your tool belt to help you get more done in less time and make it more fun in the process. So this class is going to be going kind of in different areas and different sections of the computer, just based on certain things that I think are kind of cool to show you, and hopefully you find them cool as well. So we're going to start today with talking about the overall care and feeding of your computer. And I might have touched a little on this on the first class, but this is so important, and it's basic stuff that most people forget to do, and therefore their computer doesn't perform as well, has more crashes. And let me tell you, if we can get these basic steps as habits that we build with our technology, then our technology will work much better. So first and foremost, if it has a power button, you need to use it. Meaning, devices that can copy data cannot be left on all the time. They have to go through the process of shutting themselves down in order to keep the processor and the RAM working at their optimal level. So does that mean a restart or a shutdown? Actually, it means both or either. If I go to the Apple in the upper left-hand corner, you can see I have a couple options down here. One is restart and one is shutdown. Well, shutdown basically will quit out of every single application, power down the computer, and it's off. Restart will do the same exact thing as shutdown, but it will also power the machine right back on as soon as it's gone through that process of shutting itself down. So typically, I will do a restart. My computer is on most of the time, but I remember to restart the machine, I would say on average every 2 to 3 days, or anytime you notice an issue with your machine. Maybe it's not running as fast as it did. Maybe things are crashing more. Anytime a program crashes, that's a pretty good indication that you want to go ahead and either shut down the machine or restart it. So that's very important for the performance of your devices. And again, that could be an iPad, that could be an iPhone, that could be a Mac computer, desktop, laptop, the same thing for PCs. Your wireless router or your modem also potentially needs to be restarted every once in a while. So if you ever lose your internet connection, that's one of the first things that you're going to go do is you're going to unplug your modem, and you're going to wait till all the lights go off, and then you're going to plug it back in, wait for all the lights to go on, and essentially what you're doing is you're power cycling the modem. You're turning it off and you're turning it back on. Again, anything that has a power button that we can turn on and off requires this step on occasion. Remember to turn your devices off every once in a while. Now remember, on the phone and the iPad, you should get into the multitasking window first and quit out of those applications that are open prior to shutting down your iPhone or your iPad, because the shutdown process on those devices does not quit out of the applications. And sometimes an application can get stuck and it needs to be quit or closed. You'll notice also just in this drop-down menu here, there's lock screen and there's log out Zoom. These are different. When I go to the lock screen, I'm essentially staying in my account, but locking the screen right here in order to prevent other people maybe from getting into it. I'm not switching users and I'm not going back to the login screen. I'm simply locking my current account. That allows me to get right back into my account by typing in the administrator password. Versus when I go to the login screen, I'll have to select my account, then put in the administrator password. Now, there's another method of locking your screen that I want to show you as well that can be done with the mouse. And this is a great way to be able to very quickly, with the swipe of your mouse, get to that lock screen. Let's say you're in a work environment, you need to go to the bathroom. One single swipe on the mouse will lock your screen. So how do we do this? Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to go to System Preferences underneath the Apple in the upper left-hand corner. From here, we want to go to what's called Mission Control. So that's in the top here, depending on how you have these organized. in mission control, we have hot corners. So this is a cool little trick and a cool little tip to have hot corners established on your computer. What does that mean? It means when the mouse goes into any one of the 4 corners, a particular action will happen. So what does that look like? Well, I go into hot corners right here. And now you can see here are the 4 corners that I have possibilities to choose as actions. And as you see with the drop-down menu, we can open up mission control. We can go to application windows, desktop, notification center, launchpad. We can start the screensaver or disable the screensaver. We can put the display asleep or lock the screen as we just saw. So as you can see, I have the start screensaver in the bottom. If I move my mouse all the way to the bottom here, it will initially start the screensaver. And I'm not sure whether you guys can see that or not, but that started the screensaver on my computer. I might also want to have it do the lock screen. So once again, you're just literally swiping it down into the corner. And as soon as that mouse touches the corner, it would lock the computer. I'm not going to do that now because I don't know if it's going to take me off of the call. But trust me, if you swipe it down right now, it'll go to lock computer. You also have these functions here at the top: mission control, application windows, desktop, and notification center. Mission control is like your overview button for your open windows and applications. It's also the F3 button on your keyboard. So if you look at the top where it says F3, this will open up your different desktops and windows that are available and gives you basically the bird's eye view, allowing you to choose the desktop or the window that you want to work in. It makes it very easy to go back and forth between different environments for desktops and different windows that you might have open. So that is hot corners. Try them out. They can be very effective and very useful as a great, easy shortcut method of getting to that particular function that you want. Now, I do have a great video called Navigating Mac OS where I go into a lot of detail about expose, mission control, multiple desktops. So I think I'll save that for that video because I go into it very well in depth there. So I'm going to stop there with mission control, but hot corners is a really cool feature. You guys should definitely try it out. Next thing I wanted to go is to about this Mac, because I wanted to show you just a couple of things that most people forget are here. We know about the overview, and this is how we can get to all of the particular information about our current computer here, from the memory that we have, the processor, when it was released, what version of the operating system that we're working on. But notice also there's system report. So if you need to get more in-depth detail, you can go to system report, and this talks about all of the hardware pieces as well as the networking pieces that we have on this computer. And software, sorry, I should include that too. So if you ever needed to know like what PCI card you were using or what Ethernet cards you have in there, this may be more in depth than most people need, but this is a great way to know what airport card you're using or what printers are set up. So that's nice to know there, and you can get to that very easily right through Apple About This Mac system report. The other two that I wanted to show you here are support and service. So if you go to support here, you'll see these are links to a slew of information from the Mac OS manual, support for Mac OS. You can get help there. We can get the Mac resources, which goes into the specs, the hardware support. There we go. So that one goes to iMac support. So again, very easy links to get to information and help to make sure that your computer is functioning at its best and doing what you need it to do. I'm going to do Command Tab. That takes me back to the previous program. Talked about that one before. I use that every single time I sit down to the computer. I'm in System Preferences right now, but now I need to go back to that program I was just in. Hold Command, tap Tab, immediately release both of them. And now as you can see in the upper corner there, I am back in Safari. So let's say I wanted to create a new window here. So now I have multiple windows, right? In fact, I'll even do a new one here. So now I have 4 windows of Safari. Again, Command Tab is going to bring me to the previous application. The button above Tab is called tilde, and it looks like that little wavy line. It's like the approximation symbol. And if I do Command tilde, and let me go ahead and just get some of these so we can actually see this a little bit better. Let's go there. Let's get this one on, I don't know, something different. Cool. So again, Command tilde is going to allow me to rotate through the windows of the current application I'm in. I hold Command, I tap the tilde, again, the one right above the tab key, and now I can rotate through all of the windows of this current application. So that's really nice when you have multiple, let's say, documents in Pages or multiple windows in Safari, or you might have mail open and you have 3 or 4 new messages that you're trying to compose and getting back and forth, maybe copying and pasting information. This makes it very easy in order to get those windows. Now I have all these windows open in Safari, and at some point you might get too many windows, right? And it's impossible to organize. So there is a great feature up at the top here under Window of Safari, and it allows you to merge all of your windows. So this takes every single open window of Safari and merges it into a single window under Tabs. So let me go ahead and click that. And as you can see, now I have one window, that's it. And in that window, you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I move this down, I think you'll be able to see all of those tabs that were separate windows are now available in a single window. The point here is it's much easier to manage a single window. I can minimize that window down into the dock, and they're all gone, giving me the space I need to get to whatever other applications or windows that I'm needing. And when I want to bring it all back, I can very simply click on it once in the dock and it brings it right back. If I needed to, let's say, compare and contrast some of these, some of the information that's on these individual tabs, right? Because I can always click on the tab, but let's say I needed to get the information from the New York Times and I needed that to go into, let's say, I don't know, my option click site or some other site I was filling in. I might pull a tab out of the window in order to then be able to see both of them. So if I do that, I'm going to click and hold on option click consulting. I'm going to drag it out till I see the thumbnail and I'm going to release it. At this point, I have created 2 windows now. One is the option click one I pulled out, and the rest are in that window below it that we originally created by merging those windows. Well, if I want to now compare and contrast, I can click hold on the green button and I can tile this window to the left of the screen. That then allows me to choose the other window, and now you can see I have 2 windows side by side, allowing me to compare and contrast the information, or maybe it's copying and pasting information from one to the other. Remember, this doesn't have to be windows of the same application. I might have mail over on the left side and my calendar over on the right side. And I can adjust with the center aisle here, I can adjust how much of each of these pages I see. Again, remember, your view, your ability to present the information in a way that makes sense for you in terms of what you're trying to accomplish determines your efficiency and your effectiveness. So I can't stress that enough. How you view your information determines how easy it's going to be for you to get things done and how quickly you can get it done. If I need to get out of one of the windows, I go to the top, pull down the menu bar, and I can go ahead and click the green ball to pull that out of full screen. Now, what you might not know is that other window is still in full screen, and this could get a little tricky. Sometimes you might forget that you had a window in full screen. You can get to that by swiping with 3 fingers to the left, and that's the full screen window that we had left behind in terms of when we took the other one out. So that one was still in full screen. And again, if I wanted to bring this window back into the fold on that current desktop, I go to the top, get the menu bar to show, click the green ball to exit out of the full screen mode. And now you'll notice, again, I'm back in the single current desktop environment with my 2 windows that I am currently using. Again, I could go to window, merge all the windows, and now I'm back to a single one that is, again, much easier to manage. Whenever you put a window into full screen, it goes into its own separate desktop or area. And again, that's something in that Navigating macOS movie would be really great to watch for you guys. Let's talk about the menu items at the top. So this is something that I don't often talk about, but is very important. All of these menu items, and remember again, whenever I use the word menu, it always refers to this white strip at the very top of the computer. And they call them menu items. And when you click on them, they drop down a menu of options or tasks you have available based on the program that you are in or the item that is currently selected. And these are different for every application and different for potential even the items that you select. One thing we want to note, every one of these drop-down menus, if I click and immediately release, the window will drop down and it'll stay down without me having to hold it. That's very important to understand because a lot of people get stuck. They click and hold, and as soon as they didn't release quick enough, now you're stuck. Now you got to keep that held down. And all that does is it makes more tension, more stress on your physical body. And a lot of times it's just harder to get down to that one particular task that you wanted to choose. So notice the difference when I do a click, release, see how it went away, versus a click and release. So it's a timing thing. You got to do it really quick, but it works for every single one of these. And a quick click and release is probably the best habit to get into because again, then you're not using as much of your hand in order to stress it out and it just becomes easier to do. I want to talk about the ones that are up over here that never really get too much attention. And you probably can't see this one that my mouse is around, but this is the Zoom window. And when I click on that one, you'll see that it gives me a lot of options based on my current Zoom meeting. So when you're in Zoom, that icon right there is nice to have. The next one over is Malwarebytes. And Malwarebytes is something I would encourage everyone to have on their computer. It is a virus detecting software that works specifically for your browsers. So whether you have Firefox, whether you have Safari, whether you have Chrome, this is the best free antivirus or virus detecting software out there currently for the Mac. And in fact, if you go to the Genius Bar, this is the software that they use to combat any malware, adware, spyware, bloatware, virusware, keystroke clickers, pop-ups, you know, all that stuff that we know is a virus when we get it because we say, oh no, why is it going to this site? Why is this popping up? And so when you notice that going on, you can always run Malwarebytes. So if you go to the internet and do a search on Malwarebytes, so malware, B-Y-T-E-S, and I always put Mac on it, so Malwarebytes Mac. And then this one, download and install right here. There it is, download and install Malwarebytes for Mac. So that's the one that you want right there. First of all, you never need to pay for Malwarebytes, so don't worry about paying for Malwarebytes. This is something you run whenever you notice that there's something not working well with your browser. So it's not something that's on all the time and running all the time that's slowing down your computer. This is a one-off thing that when you notice that something is wrong with your browser, maybe you're getting a pop-up, maybe you're doing a search on Google, but it takes you to Dogpile or it takes you to Yahoo Search or some other search engine. That's a great way to tell that you have a virus of some sort if you're redirected to a different search engine. But again, run that whenever you need or whenever you notice that something's wrong. And then make sure you check for updates. So in the top corner there, before you run it on your computer, make sure to check for updates to make sure you're on the current version of Malwarebytes so that when you run the check and run the scan, it knows all of the newest stuff that's out there and will find it, quarantine it. You're able to clear the quarantine just following the on-screen instructions. It's not brain science right there. And then I always restart the machine after you run the virus protection software. So once again, that's Malwarebytes that we see at the top. I hope you're enjoying the Zoom Mac classes. I want to let you all know I'm available for personal one-on-one consultations through Zoom. Please call the number, email me, let me know any questions you have. And if you want to go into a deeper dive into everything Apple, then just connect with me and I'm happy to connect with you. Enjoy the rest of the class. The next one over is your time machine backup. And everybody hopefully can click on this and they'll see it's either currently backing up or they will see last backup with the date and the time that it actually backed up. If that date and time is more than a week ago, then you should address that by making sure to plug in your external hard drive that was set up with Time Machine and make sure you run a backup to protect your data. Again, a backup means your data lives in 2 different places so that when one place crashes, one hard drive crashes, you have it over here and can copy it again so that as long as it's in 2 places, you are able to ensure that you're keeping your data, because the likelihood that both hard drives will fail at the same time is actually pretty unlikely. But the likelihood that one of those drives is going to fail is likely. So that's why we do the backup there. Now I want you to notice, you can also open up Time Machine preferences from here. And in fact, all of these other ones that we see here allow us a one-click method of getting not only to system preferences, but then to the category in system preferences that you're looking to do. So this one right here, if I click on Open Time Machine Preferences, it's like I went to the apple in the upper left-hand corner, clicked on System Preferences, and then clicked on Time Machine. So this takes me to the specific section of System Preferences for what I just clicked on. We could say the same thing with Bluetooth. So this is the Bluetooth symbol. It looks like a letter B if you look at it closely. It's a square letter B with 3 dots inside. And when I click on this, this tells me everything about Bluetooth on the machine. So currently it says turn Bluetooth off. That means Bluetooth is currently on. And you can see the devices that are connected here. Jon Hartman's trackpad. What I love here is also you can see the battery level left, and you can get directly to the trackpad preferences through this as well. So this is a very easy way to get to your keyboard preferences, get to your mouse preferences, all through this Bluetooth section. Notice also, quick link to your Bluetooth preferences. So if you ever get a new device, like a wireless speaker, or maybe you just got a new Magic Mouse or a new Bluetooth item, you can always go to Bluetooth, click on Open Bluetooth Preferences, and there you go. You're ready to start pairing an item, disconnecting one. You can see also the battery power is there as well. This is the button that you want to make sure to click to make sure to show that menu item at the top. So Bluetooth, again, is a short-range wireless technology. It's typically used for speakers and wireless peripherals like keyboards, mice. That's different than AirPlay. Let me go to AirPlay, which is the one 2 over. It looks like the triangle with a square on top, kind of like a TV. You know, the triangle is the standard TV. Well, this is AirPlay, and AirPlay allows you to stream not only audio, but video as well. If I wanted to turn it on, I could go ahead and add this to the living room. Now, I don't think I have my TV over there. It's actually hooked up with my Apple TV. So if I wanted to beam what's on my screen here, I can simply choose living room, and you can see in the back, there's a code there that it's asking me to fill in. I'm going to put that code in the screen. That's a one-time code simply to connect that computer to that section right there. And you can actually see everything that's on my screen is actually on the TV now. So these are mirroring each other by streaming to my Apple TV, right? That puck, that's what I'm streaming to right now. It's called an Apple TV. It's a black puck about this size, and you connect it to your TV with HDMI. We'll be talking a lot about that later in terms of, I have a whole class on Apple TV. What's cool about AirPlay is that you can actually stream music to multiple different places. So if you're in iTunes, or music, I should say, let me open that up. So when you're in music, you'll see the same AirPlay button. And it's kind of the same AirPlay button. This one is for audio, so it's circular. This one is typically for video. That's why it's square. That looks more like a TV right there up there. This one looks more like a HomePod, right? So, but they're the same beaming or streaming section. And as you can see here, if I wanted to play music in my home right now, I could go to the living room, meaning I can play it out of the speakers on my TV through the Apple TV. I could put it to my HomePod, and I could also have it playing on my computer at the same time. So you can stream to multiple different AirPlay enabled devices such as HomePods and Apple TVs, and any other speakers that have AirPlay. There are a number of them out there. And so you can have music going on in different places, in different rooms. So that's AirPlay. And then Wi-Fi was the last symbol here. And as we all know, Wi-Fi is how we get our wireless internet connection. So it requires a wireless base station, which beams a signal out to our devices. Our devices connect. It has a range of about 400 feet line of sight. Depending on what speed it's running at, will determine how quickly you're going to get your web pages loaded and all that. By the way, if you do see Xfinity on here, this one right here, that is not password protected, you should not join that one. That will cause some problems going forward. And in fact, if I saw that right there and I knew I had joined it at any point, I would go again down to the bottom. This takes us right to system preferences, right to the network tab. That's important. And then here, you can see there's my Wi-Fi. And one thing you should check if you're having any issues with your Wi-Fi is that your network order is in the order that you want it, meaning the order that you want your computer to look for those networks and join if need be. First of all, before I go into advanced, notice here's the button that says show Wi-Fi status in menu bar. So that's what gets that button at the top in your menu bar. With Wi-Fi selected here, let me get rid of, let me get the music off for a second. With Wi-Fi connected, again, I'm in System Preferences under the Network tab. I'm going to go to Advanced. And under Advanced is where I'm going to see the list of every single wireless network that this device has connected to. And as you can see, there's quite a few on there. In fact, I would imagine that most of you have quite a few on here. And in general, it's not horrible to have all of these on. I mean, as long as the order is in the order that you need, meaning the big pink, that is my main network here. And actually, I want the big pink 5 to be at the top. So at this point, when I turn on my computer, the first network that it's going to go look for is the big pink 5 gigahertz. If it can't find that network for some reason, it's going to go to the next one. So then it would look for the big pink. That's the 2.4 gigahertz speed or wavelength. And the difference, by the way, of those two. So when should you join 5 gigahertz versus the 2.4? Well, 5 gigahertz has a shorter range, but faster speeds. So if you have your computer in the same area as your Wi-Fi, which, by the way, that's my modem from Comcast. If they're in the same room, meaning a short distance, then always choose the 5 gigahertz because that will give you faster speeds. If you have a larger home and you need to cover more distance, then that's what the 2.4 gigahertz is for. It has a much longer range, but it does not transmit data as quickly. So again, the point here, why we came here, is ensure that one, your order is correct. And you just simply drag things around. So if you wanted that one at the top, you just drag it to the top. And then you can change the order that way, right? So get them in the order that you most want to connect. And then you want to go down, you want to find any ones that are not ones that you might want that it could actually connect with. So for instance, if you have one up here that is that Xfinity Wi-Fi, the one that we just saw here, if it's listed in here, make sure you select it and then hit the minus so that you can get rid of that one. If you join that one, it causes a lot of problems because it's actually the public Xfinity network. I just want to make sure that you got the order right and that you've taken off any of the ones that you know you never need or want. And that will ensure that your Wi-Fi is going to hopefully work its absolute best. These menu items up here, again, the date and the time. So you do have a choice here to have the date and the time shown as analog or digital. And once again, you do have the ability to open up directly to time preferences. And notice that you can set the date and the time automatically. That's usually a good thing to do. In order to change that setting, make sure you undo the padlock, put in your administrator password, and then this will light up and you can make sure to set the date and the time accordingly. The next one over is your account. So I have a couple accounts on this machine. This is my Zoom account for my videos that I'm doing here. And then I have my other account. So this is a way to switch back and forth between any accounts currently created on your computer. And once again, users and groups, if you click on that, it takes you right to system preferences and shows you all of the accounts that you have currently on your machine. And you can go ahead and add accounts if you need them for any reason. Once again, click the padlock, type in your administrator password, and then you can go ahead and click on other items. This is also where you can change your password and choose if there are any specific login items that you want. Ideally, you don't want a ton of login items. I mean, in general, there really doesn't need to be too much that starts, or meaning applications that launch and open up when you turn the computer on or when you log into your account. That's what a login item is. You turn on the computer, you log in your account, and these items will automatically start. There's not too many that I would encourage that you have in there, because simply every time you start, if 5 programs are opening up, essentially, you're taking that processor and RAM performance away from the other application you might be using, meaning you might not even be using those 5 applications in this session. And all you've done is created a system where you're not utilizing the performance in the best possible way. So that is login items. We have our Spotlight search over here. And again, that is our search for the computer. For Spotlight, it's just Command Space and immediately release. For Siri, it's Command Space and you hold a little bit longer, and then you'll hear the ding, and then Siri will start. I'm sorry I can't show that to you here in terms of I just haven't turned it on. We have Notification Center on the next one here. We can always click on that. If you have a trackpad, you can take 2 fingers and swipe in from the side off the screen. That will also bring you the Notification Center. So once again, 2 fingers swiping from off the screen on the right into the screen brings up your Notification Center. And so you can do the Do Not Disturb, Night Shift. It's just an easy way to get to kind of your today view and your notifications. If you ever want to arrange these, all you do is you hold Command, and then you can actually arrange the orders of these to make it easier to access. If you get them in the order that you know you want to access them, then very simply you can access them that way. If it's an app that you can delete or uninstall, if you hold Command and you drag it down, you can actually remove that item from the menu bar. So if you wanted to simplify that, you definitely can do that. You just hold Command, drag it off, see the X, it deletes that. You can always go back to Time Machine in System Preferences and hit that button again to turn it back on. It does not delete the application itself. All right, so I wanted to open up a Finder window. And a couple of things that are kind of cool that I've figured out recently. One is if you go to the edge. Now I know that you know that we can click and hold and we can move this around to resize it. But if you double click on the edge, it'll expand it all the way out to the side. So I could do that with the bottom here. Again, double click, goes right to the bottom. Come up here, double click, goes right to the top. So if you want to extend any of these sides to the left or the right, or to the top or to the bottom, then simply just double click as soon as you get those 2 arrows that show up when you're on the border or the side of that window. A couple of things that I would encourage all of you to have, especially under View, is make sure that you are showing your sidebar, right? The sidebar has tons of information. It's very hard to get things done if you're not seeing that sidebar. So notice it says hide sidebar. Well, you know, with Apple, they always want to keep things real clean. So if it says show sidebar, it means the sidebar is currently hidden, and vice versa. So if I go back to View, I'm going to make sure that I'm showing the sidebar. The other 2 that I feel are really important are these ones down here. And this is called the path bar, and this is called the status bar right here. And these are important. The path bar tells you exactly where in the hard drive you are. So if I go into here, you'll see it updates. I'm in my Macintosh hard drive, in the users folder, because that's where the account lives, the Zoom account in the users folder. And then I'm in the pictures folder within there. You could go to documents, and now I could be in personal, and now I could be in tests, and I can be in test 2. And as you can see, it all updates the path down here. You can also get back up by double clicking on the one that you want, meaning if you're already drilled down here, but you realize, oh, I need to go back to documents, you can always use the path bar, double click on that to take you back to that specific folder or hierarchy of folders that you want. The status bar is really nice simply because it'll tell you kind of what's in the current view. So right now you can see I have 3 items. That's what the 3 items is. And on my hard drive, I have 1.81 terabytes available. And if I were to go select the items here, and let's say I did a shift click to connect the dots. So again, it says 3 of 3 selected, and it's still 181 terabytes available. So this gives you a lot of information. The other thing you can do is if you're looking to get the information about a number of different items, typically if you do the Command I, so let's say I went here and I did Command I, notice it brings up 3 different windows for the 3 different items. And maybe that's what you want, because you wanted to get the distinction between the different folders here, or items as you can, or items. But if I wanted a single window that comprises all 3 of the items, or all 50 of the items, I'm gonna hold Option and Command and hit the letter I for information. What you'll see here is now I get a single window that represents all 3 items. I can tell how much all of these items are gonna take from a file size standpoint, and again, all the other information here that is important to those particular items. Notice that you can lock folders, so that prevents people or yourself from altering that. So if you have something that you know you don't want to change, then by all means, you can lock that folder, and that would be definitely really helpful. Cool, you can see the permissions down here. So in terms of whom is using this computer and who can access that particular items or those items, and whether they have read and write privileges or not. Make sure when you're in the Finder as well, go to Finder, go to Preferences, and go to Sidebar. And this is where you choose what things are going to be in the sidebar. So, you know, simplify what you don't need. Again, don't have everything on there that you just, you know, throw it in the kitchen sink, because then it's just more information you have to sift through to get to the stuff that you're really using. So, you know, I never use recents. You know, a lot of times I don't need an AirDrop on there. So it's, again, just a way to kind of simplify and make sure that that is working the way that you want. Oh, yeah, down in the dock, let me just point out this. This is somewhat new in the newer operating systems here, and you can see that there's actually 3 sections of the dock now. The first section is for all of your applications that you have chosen to keep in the dock. And ideally, this should be organized in a method to make it easy to find the ones that you want. Again, simplify the ones that you don't want. You can do that by dragging them out of the dock, waiting for remove, and then releasing the click, and that'll get rid of them. You can drag them left and right in order to reorder them. Very easy there. These ones over here in the second item are recently used applications. So these aren't necessarily going to be there every single time. They kind of update as you use different applications and as your kind of recently used ones. And then over here on the end, we have the garbage, and we have our files and folders that we want as quick one-click access points to those folders or those files that we want to use. The dock, as you know, has some pretty cool stuff. If you keep your printer in the dock, you can actually drag this down. This is just a document with a little screenshot. And you can drag that down. If I want to print it, I can just drag it right onto my printer, and that's going to go ahead and print it for me. So remember that the dock is draggable. You could drag things onto the dock to open them up or to add them, and definitely is a very easy way to do simple things like sending an attachment by dragging it onto the mail stamp icon, or maybe you want to open up this PNG in Safari, right? You can just view it within the browser. Let's say there's multiple things going on here. Let's say I have Safari open here. Let me get one Pages document, new document. And I wanted to show you a combination of something that I do often. So here I have my Pages document, but I have Safari above it, and I have all these other windows that are in the way, but I want to be able to add this to my Pages document, this little PNG. Well, I can do this, which is pretty fun. I can start to drag this, and then as I drag it, I'm going to do Command Tab. So I'm still holding the click, but Command Tab, I find Pages, I release it, and then I can drop it right into Pages. I could also drag it down here into Pages and wait for it. And then that'll open up all of the different Pages documents that I might have or want to put it in. Maybe it's in this other one, Untitled 2. So there's a different document that I have, and I can drop it right in there. So it makes it, again, very easy to not have to close out of all the windows just to get that one file in where you were working, because maybe you need those other windows up. All right, so let's say I'm in Pages. A couple things that are kind of cool here. One, if I ever want to bring up my emojis, Control Command Space is your emojis. That's a really fun one. They're so easily accessible on your phone and your iPad, but sometimes getting them here on the computer isn't as easy. So once again, as long as you're in a application that has the ability to type, then to bring up the emoji window is going to be Control Command Space. There are my emojis. Again, the cursor is already blinking, so all I would need to do is, add one by double clicking on it. Remember, if I want that bigger, I can highlight it. Command plus makes text bigger. Guess what? Emojis are just text. So Command plus allows me to make that as big as I want, simply by affecting the point, which is the size of the text, right? And here's the point. Right now it's at 85, but I could make it 185. And there you go. So that's fun in terms of getting to those, getting the emojis. And then the last thing I wanted to go in was the dictation. So a lot of times you might want to write something out, but you're tired of typing, or maybe it's going to be something long and you just want to dictate it. Dictation gets turned on by hitting Function and then Function again. So it's the key that has the FN on it. And when I double tap it, it opens up the ability for me to, that is very large text right there. So let me hit Escape. Escape takes me out of dictating. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to delete. And let's go back to 11 point, and let's try this one more time. Again, Function, Function. Now, the first time that you do this, you might need to enable dictation, and then you might actually need to download a file for dictation as well. So if that happens, go for it, do it, and then we can do dictation. So Function, Function. Thank you, class. This has been a wonderful, wonderful experience for me, period. Next paragraph. I'm very much looking forward to working with you all on Tuesday for our next class, period. I would do it in chunks. Don't always try to go for like a full page at a time, because if something goes wrong, you'll have to redo it. So I would go like 3 sentences, 4 sentences, maybe a paragraph at a time, make sure it does what you're looking for, and then correct it if you need, and then move forward. All right, so we went over a lot today, a lot of cool tips and tricks, and hopefully I've given you a few tools in your tool belt that you didn't know about before. And again, trying to make things easier, more effective, more efficient, and more fun. Once again, this has been ZMC, or Zoom Mac Classes. My name is Jon Hartman with Option Click Consulting, and I've really enjoyed this class, teaching you tips and tricks, and I look forward to our next class together. Take care.